Is it on?
Yeah, it's recording. So yeah, we good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll just introduce by the first name maybe from here on out. Just say
That's
Quinton.
fine. Yeah.
Okay. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Quinton.
This is Jessy.
And we're here with truthcontrol.com, and today we're going to be talking about energy. So what do you have to say about energy?
Well, energy to me means a lot of things, I guess. I call God the universal energy, which to me is just a reflection of everything that's going on around us. Everything is composed of energy. And the way I see it is that it's always going round and round and it never stops. It's a 24/7 thing, which is what I think we are as far as spirits in this world. We're an energy that's just passing through and colliding with any other energy that crosses our path, I guess you could say. That's what I think basically what energy is, but I mean it's just a big extension of it. I mean there's so many definitions that I could give to the word energy, but to me I guess it's just the universal God, the energy. God is energy. We're all energy. We're all composed of it. We're all one within that energy, and we're all connected at that level, at an energy level.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on energy?
Yeah, well, I do agree with what you're saying, and I do see energy as kind of everything, and everything's a part of energy. And I think when people refer to God, what they're usually referring to is probably energy or something like that, because it's all just it's just like that force, the energy. So it's, yeah, I say we're all obviously made up of atoms, which are made up of energy. So everything in this third density is energy, and it's all, yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting because me and you had a topic about this at one point, and you had mentioned something to that extent about energy, and right now it just left my brain, but I don't seem to recall it at this moment. I don't know why. I just had a brain fart. But it had to do with energy. Me and you had discussed that at one point.
Uh-huh.
And but one thing is for sure, I see energy around everything. Everything that's matter, like looking at a TV, the outside of the TV. For some reason, I'm able to distinguish the energy, and it's always moving. I've been in rooms especially where there's a lot of people, I'm able to pick up on that energy, and I actually see the outline, and it's always moving, and it's moving, connecting us all at the same time. I've been in meetings where there's a lot of people, and I think that's when it's more obvious to me. And it's kind of crazy because when I was younger, I used to be very like, why do I see that? And I guess a perfect example of how I can explain what I'm talking about. You see the picture of Jesus or any saints, you see how you see them surrounded by a light all the time?
Right.
And that's an energy, right? So it's like an energy that's emanating from the body, from this physical form. And that's what I see. I actually see that energy around people.
Right, you do.
And it was, when I was younger, I thought, I would tell my grandmother would always tell me that I shouldn't say those things because people were going to think I was part of the devil, which I don't believe in the devil or whatever, and I think it was more to instill fear in me. But in a table, in any situation, I'm able to connect to that energy. And one thing that I've seen is that it's moving, and it's always moving around, like at the meetings per se. I was in a meeting a few months back where there was probably over 250 people, and looking at the person, the guest speaker at that meeting, I was so there was 10 people in the stage, and I was able to see their energy, and I saw that energy was connected to everyone. Like they were the same energy, except we all have our uniqueness.
Yeah.
But we're still all connected to that same energy, and I would see it all floating around. And that's one thing about energy that I think has made me see things differently when it comes to God, because I feel like I'm connected directly to that energy, and you don't need any other energy because the link is automatic. It's not a thing. I think when we think that it's a separation is when we're focused mostly on the physical form, and that's when I think that I think that's what people confuse, that the separateness that comes from the energy comes from the physical form, whereas we see each other as separate. And in reality, energy is always moving; it never stops, and we're always connected. It's like the example I gave you of the merry-go-round. A lot of people, what they do with that is that they get stuck in that merry-go-round cycle, and they keep going and going and going, and they think that that's their only way of life, so they keep repeating everything they keep repeating it. To me, they're stuck in that energy, they're stuck at that level until you jump off and you make changes, because change is something that happens, constantly, with a blink of an eye. So unless you make that change, your energy is sort of like blocked out, because it's being blocked out by the physical form, whereas it stops flowing. And once it starts flowing, I think it starts creating disease. It starts creating like depression and things like that. Because if people understood everything at an energy level, and we understood that it's always flowing, it's coming and always going, and as you're receiving, you're giving out. But if you're stopped, and you're stopped at that level, then you can't give out what's being given to you, because you're stuck in your own ways. And it's kind of a combination of your physical form and your spirit form, which creates the energy. And it's kind of an understanding that you have to be aware of, because if you're not aware of, you're only going to be connected at the physical level form, which is kind of like,
very well said.
Know?
Very, very well said.
So what would you think about that? What do you think? What are your thoughts as far as that goes?
I mean, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. It totally is.
It's kind of like it's an interesting concept, because they kind of say that, and I'll dwell into this in one of our other shows that we will be giving to people, about the chakras. It's the 7 chakras are like an alignment of energy, and it can be either or. I feel that we're connected from the bottom up from top to bottom and bottom to top. But I think the energy that we're receiving is coming from that higher source, which is God, which we always have a connection to. Some people misunderstand and think like, I have to do certain things or take certain steps in order for me to connect to that. And I think that's a big misunderstanding, because I think that we're directly linked at all the time. Now, our thoughts and this body form, we have a brain, and that brain limits us, because this body form will limit us to think, because we're so used to thinking in our body brain mentality, and not really at a higher conscience, which is with your subconscious, which is where everything is created, which is like, we're all co-creators with that higher energy, which is God. And at the level that you really, really, really do focus on that, and you are believing in that energy, then you're extending yourself, because it only takes that little spark of energy can spark up anything. Like a fire, let's say, one little spark of fire can cause a fire in the forest to just go wild. And once you get that little spark of energy and you start understanding it, you'll see that it's something so much bigger, and you can do so much more with that energy. Because at every level, you walk into a room, and this is so cliche, I've heard this used so many times. You walk into a room and you right away feel somebody's energy. You're either going to like that person or not like them. And then you right away think, well, why do I feel this way? Why is it that I walked in, I don't know this person, but yet I still don't like this person automatically? I think that's just the energy connecting and giving you kind of like a warning, because it's telling you, you don't have to jump into any relationship, because the connection to God, the energy, is already giving you firsthand, and your guidance, your intuition is picking up on that. So you're saying you have the choice of deciding if you want to relate to that energy, that other body form, and go into a relationship with that body form, or you have the right to automatically say, I don't like this. I don't feel the energy with this person, and it's giving me kind of like, I guess you could say it's like a disconnection, right? And I remember when I was younger, my grandmother, and I will refer to my grandmother a lot because she was a big, part of my life. But she always used to tell me that I had to give everybody a chance. And as I got older, I disagreed with her because I was able to pick up on people's energy. I can tell when somebody's in a bad mood. I'm able to actually, pick up everybody's energy because that's how we're connected. Mm-hmm. And when you're linked like that, you're able to make a choice to see if you wanna go into a relationship with, not necessarily a love relationship, but any type of relationship. And automatically if you have a connection to them by feeling comfortable and at ease. And if you feel any sort of discomfort, then that's your intuition telling you, your energy telling you, you know what, there's not a connection there. And if you, let's say the connection is black on black, black on red, and red on black. Okay. And then you reverse them, that's kind of the connection you're going to get. It's going to be opposites, mm-hmm. And then the discomfort's going to start. And it's the same thing with disease. I think disease has to do a lot with energy. When you stop from receiving the energy from the higher link from God, I think that what happens is that it starts creating disease and any form of disease. And I'm not saying anything. I was told I was diabetic. I still, they still consider me a diabetic.
Because what you would say disease-wise, a lot of disease is usually
a blockage.
Yeah, a blockage of your energy flowing, or it's some type of thing, like maybe mentally or something internally where you're stopping something. You're maybe being negative about something, or you're just doing something internally where you're keeping yourself from flowing the way you should be. You're not,
And then that usually comes from the body form, from the physical form. That stops it. And once this body reacts to it, you send it out to the universe, which is the energy. And when the energy doesn't pick up but the negativity, it's going to send you more of that same energy. Mm-hmm. So let's say per se you're thinking, and this is just a very small, I guess you could say a very small example of something that is used by many, positive and negative. So let's say you're sending out your energy is negative. You woke up in the morning, you're in a bad mood. So the rest of your day, you've already said, I'm going to have a bad day. Your energy is already out there. So what you're doing at that point, you're creating more of that negative energy, and it's going to come to you because God, the energy universe, doesn't understand what your body doesn't see your body.
And also there's no real distinction between good or bad to God. It's all just energy. So if it's bad energy to you, what you're getting, it's not necessarily...
What you're emanating, what you're feeling, if you're feeling bad energy and you're being negative and sending out negative energy, more of that energy is going to come.
Because it's not necessarily bad from the universal perspective. It's just energy, and that's the kind of energy you want.
And it's giving you more of what you're giving out. So the more you give out negative, the more negative you're going to get. And your day is probably going to be ruined because unless you change your thought. And remember one thing, it only takes one thought for you to change your way of thinking. So that's a big, big, big understanding that can make somebody's life simpler. Because with one thought, and remember, you control your thoughts don't control you. So once you switch it over to good energy, to good positive energy, then more of that's going to come your way. And I think that's the way energy flows in life. Yeah. What do you think as far as that goes?
No, I agree. And I think part of that is just we get to choose kind of what we want to create, and there's going to be energy to back whatever we're doing. So if we're kind of being negative, we're not happy about something, that's kind of what's going to build. If we're sad, or if we're we think that we're always sick or those kind of things, we're going to be that way because that's what we're creating. So if we change and kind of are more positive about things and we're productive and things like that, that's what's going to be created for us, and that's kind of the energy that we receive. So yeah, it's we got to kind of know what we're wanting to create, and
and it's always being creative, because remember one thing, it never stops flowing. It's constant. The universe is speed. It never stops for anybody. You've heard the saying of where they say it felt like the universe stopped, and in reality you're stopping yourself. You're stopping yourself from flowing that energy, because that energy is always flowing, and you will attract. And I don't want to get into the law of attraction at this point, but you will attract more of how you're feeling, because we're that energy. And so let's say you want something to come your way. Well, if you start focusing that energy on that one thing and your belief, and you totally give into your subconscious, where it's a part where you're going to create, it's the level where you're creating, and you send out that energy, whatever you want in this world will come to you with that energy way of thinking. But if you hold it at your conscious level and you leave it at a wanting level, then that energy is not going to create anything, because there's a distinction. Subconscious versus conscious. There's a big distinction. And a lot of people stay on the wanting side of energy rather than using their belief and then touching their subconscious and really creating and letting that energy flow to them. Mm-hmm. Whereas a lot of people stay in the wanting energy. I want it, so then how are you going to get it if you're still at the wanting stage and you just want it? So it's not coming forth to you at that point. It's kind of like a distinction that is there for all of us. And I mean, it's as hard for me right now sometimes to create, but I think I have touched a different level. And, you know, that will be a whole different topic where we will go into a kundalini through the chakras and so forth.
Now, when you talk about wanting, is that kind of like if people who pray and they kind of pray for things that they might want, or is it?
Yeah, and what I think, well, and I'm not judging anybody. Everybody prays, and I'm glad. Continue praying. You know, your life has to become a prayer and a meditation.
But it's kind of
But you leave yourself. Do you see what I mean? Like when you pray that you want something, and you keep asking for the same thing, then you're just going to stay in the wanting level of it.
Versus
receiving it and saying, I'm letting go and letting the energy of God release it to me. Once you release it to me.
And in a Christian term, that's kind of like, in a way, faith, right? Just kind of letting go and having faith that it's going to work out.
Let go and let God.
Rather than trying to force what you want. Trying to think that you might, you know, kind of at your level kind of know what you want, when in reality, you know, just let go and let God.
That's how simple it is. What we do a lot, we want to control the situation. We want something so bad, so we think, okay, we keep asking for the same thing in prayer or in meditation. Meditation is a little bit different from prayer, but it's kind of like intertwined. But we keep wanting, and how are you going to get something that you keep wanting? Then you're not being 100% with your thoughts and with the connection of God, the energy. Because if you're still thinking that you want it, you got to think that you already have it. You got to believe that you're going to already get it. So what you do at that point, you let it go and let God. That's like you say in a Christian level. Mm-hmm. It's more faith. But a lot of people think that they have faith when in actuality they don't. Because they stay at the wanting stage. They keep asking for the same thing. So then you're not giving. And
I guess in a way, part of that is tying into other things like being more selfless and more things like that, to where you're not thinking about what you want, but more just kind of letting whatever for everybody work itself out, rather than just only focusing on me, right?
And then not controlling or trying to figure out how it's going to come to you. If you have full belief in God, in the God energy, then you've already said, I believe it's coming to me, it's already mine, because I have that much faith in God energy, whatever you call it. But at that point, then you've already let it go. You're just letting the universal God do its work. And it's going to send it your way. It doesn't mean that it's not going to take work from you. I'm not saying, it's going to take labor from you. But in your meditation, you're still creating, because you're making it happen for yourself. You're believing that it's coming. A simple thing that you could do is act out like you already have that thing. Let's say you wanted a computer. You know, you have your old computer. If you keep focusing on the old computer, that you want a new one, then you're going to continue having that old computer. But if you start, using the old computer and believing that you already have the new one you want, then it's going to appear. It eventually is going to appear because that's what the universe is going to send to you. And be very detailed oriented when it comes to things like that. Very, very detailed oriented. The brand that you want, so forth, because you wanna let, that's what the universe is picking up from you, the God energy is picking up from you, and that's what it's gonna send to you. And and it goes at different levels. But now I'll send it to you, Mr. Quinton.
Yeah,
Stop playing with your nails, Quinton.
I kind of agree with what you're saying, but in a way I kind of don't, because like it seems too much like it's focusing on not actually taking action yourself, or kind of expecting everything to just come to you, which I don't think that's entirely the way it works.
Oh, I agree with you. I do agree with you.
Because I mean, if you want, like for a new computer, for instance, it's more than just visualizing it and just like kind of creating it all. I think you still have to do something to get there.
Of course.
And you have to be open to what those new channels of doing might be,
Exactly.
And it might be maybe you need to, find a way to make money outside of what you're normally comfortable with. And you need to, when that happens, be open to that and do it. And you need to, get creative with ways to get that computer. Maybe you can help somebody down the street do something. Maybe, you can just anything, but you don't just, sit there and just, it's gonna, the more I think about it, the more...
And that's not what I meant, though. Because you're visualizing it, and what I'm saying by that, I'm saying you're still the co-creator. And I'm saying you're still doing things, but I don't think you necessarily have to step out and labor over something you want, because I think the universe, that's I think what a lot of people have a hard time understanding. I don't think you have to labor over everything. I mean, you already put it out there. It's not going to appear to you. You're not going to open your door and it's going to be sitting right there.
At the same time, though, why not then put out just anything that you want? Because you're not going to get anything you want, I don't think, if you just put it out there, right?
Well, if it's something that you want, you're going to leave it at the wanting stage.
But why not just put out, I want $1 billion?
Well, well, let me put it to you this way, because even a billionaire started off at the energy level at the bottom.
Right, but they
got up there.
But they
moved. They
worked.
moved and they moved up to
it. Didn't just land in their lap, right?
Yeah, they worked. But let me tell you one thing. But they got to a level where they really didn't have to work.
I know. I guess I see it though. Like for the computer, it's not as much like. I think part of it is seeing what, in a way, like what steps you need to take to get there, rather than just expecting to have it. I don't know if you.
Well,
you need to. Like, what things am I going to change about my life? Which way am I going to upgrade my life to get to this next thing?
Yeah, and I think that's where you and me disagree.
Maybe it is.
Because I'm more energy based, and I believe more in like the universe, the energy is going to do things, according to how I'm sending out the emanation of my energy. Whereas you think more of like, oh, you still have to work. I just don't think that you have to sweat and labor over things in order for them to happen, because I think there's abundance out there, abundance that's for everyone, not just a select few. And that's, I think, what a lot of people misunderstand. We see rich people and we think like, oh my God, why are they rich? I mean, granted, there's a lot of rich people out there that inherited the rich part of their lives, but there's a lot like Ford, and there's a lot of other, Henry Ford, which is somebody to admire, and like Rockefeller and people like that actually created out of nothing, created their millions and billions of dollars.
Absolutely.
And they started with an idea, they started with a thought, they connected to that energy of what they visualized, and they went from there. They still worked. I'm not saying they didn't.
Right.
And I'm not saying that at any level that, oh, it's just going to appear to you. But I'm saying if you set out that energy,
yeah, you're right though. And
then
and
it's going to come to you. It has to come to you.
You'll meet certain people,
Yeah.
things will start
falling into place.
I
It's
agree.
like your jigsaw puzzle. It's going to start falling into place.
I think part of it's, I think the computer is kind of maybe a bad example, because it's kind of
Yeah,
like a
maybe it was.
materialistic object, which seems kind of weird, where it's like.
Well, the thing about it with that though, I mean, at my level, I got to think it this way. I'm not very physically connected to a lot of things. I think I'm separating myself from that, and I guess I use a computer because there's a lot of people that are still physically inclined and just look at the physical aspect of life.
Yeah.
So maybe that was a bad mistake for me to use
No,
a
I
computer.
don't know. It's just, I guess it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe like, I guess that obviously material things, and like if a computer's something that can help you with work or educating yourself, whatever, yeah, sure. But a lot of the goals obviously should be more, creative, innovative, idea type things. Like, how can I get food to these people? How can I, kind of. But the computers may be part of that or certain things.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, a lot of people are like, I want a Ferrari. What can I do to get that? And it's like, is that really what you want? Why do you want the Ferrari? What is a Ferrari gonna do for you? Or is there something better, or is a Ferrari actually just your ego saying I want to look cool?
And I think a lot of it has to do with that, because if you ask yourself questions like that, you can right away distinguish which is what's spiritual energy and what's physical. If you just want a Ferrari because you're gonna look cool and because everybody's gonna look at you, then you're coming from an egotistical
and
level.
I would think too, you're.
But it's not wrong to want things,
Absolutely
though.
not.
To want certain things. It's
and
not.
a lot of it's kind of the reason behind things too, in a way. I mean, right? I mean, and if the reasons why you might want something is from maybe to make somebody else feel bad or something like that. I mean, in a way, isn't it gonna now you're kind of blocking the universe in a way, because you're like you have contradictory kind of energies, and you're kind of
because I guess you could say karma.
Yeah,
you use the word karma because a lot of people use it.
Okay.
And I guess it would be like kind of like a karmic issue at that level. If you're doing something to get to someone else, or like, making somebody else feel bad, then what you're doing to others, you're doing to yourself. I mean, the same energy is going to come to you. If you're wishing bad on somebody, you're only wishing it on yourself. And I'm a perfect example of that, as far as like when you throw out an energy out there that's negative, if you make somebody feel bad, at that same moment that you made somebody feel bad, I can guarantee you 2 minutes later or later on, you're going to feel exactly the same way that person felt.
In a way, then, kind of getting back to this, is part of it about selecting, in a way, kind of the right goals, or goals that are, I guess, more favorable than others? Or
yeah,
I don't know.
A way, yeah, you could say that.
And part of that, I guess, is through experience and wisdom, but I mean...
And it's not necessarily selecting. One thing that I think people need to understand, and that if they choose to, is that you do control your thoughts. And the energy that you're emanating with your thoughts, you're emanating an energy always. We're always emanating energy outward. Always, always, always. And that energy comes from the thoughts that you're thinking. At that point where you're thinking those thoughts and you're emanating that energy, whatever you're emanating at that point, you're going to receive more of. Mm-hmm. So let's say you're I guess you said the computer's the wrong thing, but if you want a new computer...
I think it comes down to the reason why.
Yeah, but
why.
Also, I think if you're thinking about wanting a new computer and you're feeling good about it, then you're already emanating that, then the universe already started working for you. And it's already going to send that energy your way. It's going to start constructing on how to get that for you, because it's... I agree. If you're not leveled out in your thoughts and your energy, and you're confused about it, it's not going to send you anything. Because you're not telling it what you want. You're not giving the energy, you're only giving a confusing...
My thing would be maybe, though...
And you're going to receive more of what you don't have.
I guess it's like those are like small goals in a way to focus on, almost. Like people need to focus on like bigger, core, important things in a way. Like the computer is like a piece to maybe a larger path.
Well, yeah, I'm just giving it as an example. I'm not saying, oh, go get a computer. That's like seriously not what I'm saying at all. And if you took it that way... But what's important to you, remember, is not important to others.
But what really stands, Apple or PC? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you know what? I go for both. You know how I am. I love Apple. My phone. I love my iPhone.
So how did you go about getting your iPhone? Tell me what energy you sent out to get that.
Well, I guess it was more an energy that I was like, I had the money to get it, so I did it. It wasn't really much of I was just a thought, and then I looked it up, and then it became my reality.
Which another interesting thing, money is basically energy. Mm-hmm. Like for instance, most of the money that's created, we get money through labor, which is our physical energy. If we spend 8 hours digging a ditch to make money, exchanged 8 hours of energy, our physical energy, for this money, which is energy. And that money, let's say it's maybe $50, represents 8 hours of labor. So that $50 is 8 hours of energy, if that makes sense. So, and with money, you're basically, when you pay for things, you're exchanging energy. And it's just kind of interesting how money's energy.
One thing, though, I will add to that is money works for you. Don't let it be the other way around, where you work for money. Money works for you. It's an energy. It comes to you if you really choose to or desire to have it. One book, Joe Vitale, The Awakening Course, he talks about that. And it's something to think about, because if you're always limiting yourself with thinking that you have a shortage of money, you're going to have a shortage of money. But if you...
And that is true. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's interesting because in that book he talks about how poor people think a certain way and rich people think a certain way, and it starts kind of with your mindset and the way people use words and things like that. For instance, like what you were saying, how, like with the computer or something, poor people would say, oh, I can't afford that. I'm never going to have that. So they're already in there internally just setting up saying, I can never have that.
That's so they've already brought that upon themselves. Yeah, they've already
rich people, they'll say, yeah, I can get that. What do I need to do to get that? So it's basically...
And you try to figure out how to get
how you view things. And then you work through the universe and the physical world to make that a reality rather than just giving up, which is what poor people do.
And then there's another book, The Vortex, by Jerry Hicks and Esther and Jerry Hicks, Abraham Speaks. And that book also talks about that when you're thinking lacking thoughts, like you don't have money, then more of that's going to come your way. You're not going to have money. You're going to continue thinking that, and more of that's going to come, and you're going to go per se more into, there's a fly.
That's a bee.
Oh my God, we got a bee inside the house. Ooh, lock, shut it up, shut it up.
Okay, bee's been taken care of.
I think you should shut the door.
Okay, but anyway.
But, so I think that that's a big understanding. But anyways, going back to energy, I think we kind of have swayed away from the subject a little bit.
But, you know.
But energy is something that's always there, and it's always 24/7. You know, I say this a lot at peacebeblessed.com. I'm sorry I've not posted anything in a month, but I'm getting back on track with that. I talk about the energy, and one of my things that I truly believe in, it only takes one thought to change your whole world.
And it's very true. A lot of like economists and stuff like Ludwig von Mises and people like that, they say in order to change society and things like that, it just starts with ideas and a thought, because that's really the one thing that's free that anybody can have. You can give to anybody, and it's you can't kill an idea. So it does start with just one thought.
And then it's crazy though, because everything in this world is free. I mean, just the energy, the air we breathe, all that is free. And if we understood more of that concept, that anybody can be what they want to be or do what they want to do, because it is that free. Yes, and once you connect to your higher self, to your energy self, to the God connection, to the God universe, I mean anything, and I mean anything is possible. And that's just my thoughts on energy.
Well, those are good thoughts.
And we shall be coming back with another topic.
Yeah, so thanks for listening, everyone. Go ahead.
And I'm sorry if we offend anybody out there. Really, if our thoughts are different than yours, we're not here to offend anybody. No religion or no anything. My respects to all and everyone. These are just my thoughts, and I just feel that I've been able to live my life like this through those thoughts. And my respects to everyone.
Yeah, and then to add to that, we're all at kind of different stages. We all have different influences and things, We might be where somebody else was 10 years ago. And where we are right now, somebody might be in 10 years. We're all at different levels on different things, and it's like,
I guess it all comes down to respecting each and every one. I know that our last video created some discord with some people that have Christian beliefs, and that's the way they think, and they think that we should live by the Bible. I personally don't live by the Bible. I live by my energy, God, and the universe. And I'm connected at that level. Doesn't mean I don't respect the Bible. Doesn't mean my views on Jesus are any different than a lot of people's, because my deepest respect for people. I just got other messages out of the Bible that some people did. And if it disrespected you at any level, I do apologize for that. These are just my views and my thoughts.
So, thanks for listening, everyone, and we will be back very soon with another episode.
Yay!
It's a wrap.
I think we're naturals.